Hey guys, hopefully everyone is doing well. Two parts of this question has already been solved. Last part we were doing was we have calculated average EPS for all three options of probability. I'm just reminding you, you are doing this question number 13.25 and where you have solved a part calculation of EPS were completed and you have calculated EPS for all four options. 0% debt, 20% debt, 40%, 60% debt you have completed. We were calculating standard deviations and suddenly light had gone in previous part. I was not able to tell you that that part was ended. So we have started our C part, third part of this question is going to be solved. This is quite a lengthy question, but it's so fruitful, so enjoyable to learn about leverages, calculation of standard deviations and calculations of coefficient of variations. Where we are up to now, we were supposed to calculate standard deviation. For this first part was completed and we have calculated average EPS. Look over here, all average EPS were calculated and now we are going to calculate our standard deviations. For standard deviation, what you need is these first two columns are absolutely same and rather three columns are needed. So you will put them as it is. First probability we are calculating standard deviation, keep it in mind. So this would also be similar and next column this 0.48, 1.92 and 3.36 absolutely similar. So for next we need probability. Okay, please remember that we are calculating standard deviation. F would be multiplied with X, first column absolutely same, so it means we can use it as it is. You will say that everything is same for standard deviation as well. Here you will calculate final column where you need fx square. So let me see if it can put square. Let me see. Yes, there is possibility of superscripting. We need to write down in this way. Next time we will copy it. So fx square would be calculated. Simply here you will multiply probability multiply by EPS, that is fx. Then fx is calculated. Now we will calculate fx square. How? Please note it down. This fx would again be multiplied with x to get fx square. This is actually pure statistical concept and you will have to be with me to understand it. Please note it down. This fx is again multiplied with x to calculate fx square. So first fx 0.096 and then you will multiply with x. We have got fx square. Again for second fx is 1.1 and you will multiply 1.9. We have got second fx square. For third 0.6 would be multiplied with 3.36. So we have got our third fx square. You are here needed to calculate sum of fx square. Just take sum and get help from Excel. We have got total and sum of fx is also needed, which was already been calculated earlier. So 1.92. All right, let's centralize them. Look, presentation is more important than question. For me it is so. To calculate standard deviation we have a formula. Standard deviation, for which what you need sum of fx square. Okay, we can copy first. Instead of this, we will copy statement. To write down your formula, what I was saying, you need sum of fx square, and it would be divided by sum of f bracket close. Then again you will subtract average. Okay, instead of this we need to write sum of fx then divided by sum of f, and then you will put scale. Again this scale we have to arrange it, direction, format, superscript, and this way you can put scale. So after which you will be able to calculate your oh, okay, one bracket at start and one bracket at its closure. Okay, this would be changed in this way. Only first time we have to make little effort, otherwise after that we will just be copying. So this is your formula, and over here a square root is needed. I am writing Q.13, square root of this formula. So this is your standard deviation. Please remember it. In this way you can calculate your standard deviation. Now let's put the amount. Sum of fx square is 4.51 4.5184, and it would be divided by sum of f. Sum of f was 1, bracket close, and then you need to subtract, open your bracket, sum of fx is 1.92, and you need to divide it with 1, close your bracket, and then you need to put square over here. This is your square. Let's make it according to requirement of the question. Please note it down. Everything related to this is important, so you are needed to be attentive. Upon here we can calculate, so you can know that 4.5 divided by 1 would be 4.5, and we can write it as 4.451584, and you will subtract what you need to take square 1.92 and its square. Okay, statement is now completed. Let's calculate. 51584 minus 1.92 and its square. Close your bracket. So guys, we have got the answer, and finally look over here. We need to take square root, SQRT, and square root of which 0.82944 square root is needed. So we have got our first standard deviation, and here our calculations are completed. This is your first standard deviation which was needed to be calculated. Let's go to the question, and from question you will come to know what we have done right now. look over here. This was your standard deviation and only first standard deviation has been calculated 0.9107, and standard deviation was asked, first standard deviation 0.91. Let's see our answer, and you can see 0.91. Accurate answer we have calculated, first standard deviation. Okay. And now surprisingly, this whole procedure is needed for calculation of standard deviation for second part. As I have said, we will write it once and will be used for every other calculation. So this was for your first part. Calculations have been completed, and now you will complete it for your second part. This is your second average, and what you will do, you will change this EPS accordingly. Look over here, EPS was 0.45 and then 2.25 and 4.05. So you have got your X. Fx would be calculated by multiplying F and X. Again, F would be multiplied with X, and same what we have done at above. Okay, in this way, third part would be solved. F would be multiplied with X. So Fx we have calculated by taking sum 2.25, and now Fx square would be calculated by multiplying X. Fx square would be calculated by multiplying Fx again with X. We have got our first amount, but we are doing Fx and multiplied with X again to calculate our Fx square. Third part we will be doing Fx multiplied with X, and finally we will take sum. So we have got 6.35. Okay, come over here and we need to change it. Since this square is little time taking, so instead of that we will directly put our amounts. First, sum of Fx square is needed. Fx square is 6 point, you need to delete it, 6.3585 divided by sum of f, which is again equal to 1, and then subtract Fx over here would be changed 2.25 divided by 1 and square. That has been completed. Let's change this formula, and this is actually not needed, we can delete it. Okay, why we have written it? Okay, divided by 1 we were doing, so let's write down it, 6.3585. when you will divide it 1 you will get the same, and 2.25 raised to power 2. Now it's okay. Okay, let's put it in our formula. First amount was 6.3585, and you are needed to take square of 2.25. So here we have got our answer, and now finally the square root would be taken, SQRT of which amount, 1.296. So we have got 1.13, and this is standard deviation which has been calculated, standard deviation for second part. 4 different standard deviations would be calculated, and this is your first, second, As you can see, there are four options. First, when 0% dead, then 20, 40 and 60% dead. In this way, standard deviations are being calculated. Why not we should mention it? It would be quite better. So here you have calculated standard deviation for first part. Standard deviation. Please note it down. This is square root or under root. In Excel we do write in this way. Then we have calculated standard deviation for second part, and now we are going to calculate standard deviation for third part, and we'll be doing the same thing. Same headings are needed, and we can put everything as it is instead of writing again and again. Let's copy it and paste. But we will change these. EPS would be changed, and with this everything would be changed as well. So let's remove it and start putting EPS for third part. Go upside. This is your third part, and EPS. Why EPS was disturbed? I think something happened over here. Your EPS has been changed. Let's check for third part. 40% dead. What was EPS? It was 0.32. So sometime it happens. You need to put 0.32 over here. And we need to put another EPS, third part EPS. Don't know how it has been vanished, but we need it. 40% dead. Third part is 5.12. Let's put it 5.12 over here. Oh God, something had been fishy over here. Average EPS has been changed. Let me see again for 40%. It was 0.32, 2.72. 2.72, and finally 5.12. Okay, so we need to change it. 2.72 divided by 1, and same will be doing over here. 2.72 divided by 1. Just calculate it. So we have third average 2.72. Now it's okay. So let's start our calculation. I don't know how this was vanished. This was supposed to be over here. So our third mean is 2.72. It's okay now. So let's put the amount. First EPS 0.32, second EPS 2.72, third EPS 5.12, Now we will calculate our fx. How would you calculate your fx? Simply f would be multiplied with x. Again f would be multiplied with x. For third, f is zero point 0.2, multiply 5.12, we have got fx. So it's time to calculate its sum. Sum of fx would be needed to calculate standard deviation. We will take help from Excel. So sum of fx has been calculated 2.72. Let's come over here. Fx square is needed. What you will do, fx would again be multiplied with x. When you will multiply fx with x, you will get fx square. You will be performing same 1.62 fx and x is 2.72, and finally fx is 1.02. Multiply it with x 5.12. All fx square has been calculated. It's time to take sum of fx square. Okay, here we are going to change accordingly because we have copied from previous section. Fx square is needed to be posted. How much fx square? Look over here. Sum of fx square is 9.7024 divided by 1, and sum of fx is mentioned over here, and that is 2.72 divided by 1 and then taking square. Okay, when you will divide 9.7 over 1, you will get 9.7024, and when you will divide 2.72 over 1, you will get 2.72, and then you will take the square. Okay, so same we are going to change over here. 9.7024 minus 2.72 and its square. So we have calculated. Now square root is needed to be put. Q.13 for under root or square root, for which amount? This 2.304. So we have calculated our third standard deviation, that is 1.517. Let's get back to the question. Third standard deviation answer. Okay, look over here. Third standard deviation is 1.51. Second is 1.13. And you have calculated 1.13 and 1.51. So standard deviations, three standard deviations have been calculated. All answers are matched. And again we are doing the same thing, just using these headings for calculation of fourth standard deviation. Here we will just change it. Since for fourth standard deviation EPS were calculated, here you have your EPS, and what you will do, you will change it accordingly. First EPS was minus 0.06. I'm very sure that you are with me. What we are going to do using these EPS, fourth part, fourth standard deviation, third part, third standard deviation. So in fourth part we have using EPS from fourth averages 3.34, 3.4, and then 7.14 is posted over here. Alright guys, we need to calculate our fx accordingly. How? This f would be multiplied with x. First calculation is completed. F was 0.6 and you need to multiply x 3.54, and then f was 0.2 multiplied with x. So guys, we have calculated fx. Here we will take help from Excel to calculate sum. 3.54 has arrived, and then fx square is needed. For this, fx would again be multiplied with x, fx square is here. Again 2.124 fx would be multiplied with x to get fx square, and then fx would be multiplied with x. Fx square has been calculated. Take sum from here and you have got your fx square. To put in your formula, let's change it. We need to put fx square, which is 17.7156. Sum of f is equal to 1, and then sum of fx is needed, which is calculated 3.54 divided by 1 and square. Obviously, when you will divide 17 by 1, you will get 17.7156 again, and when 3.54 would be divided by 1, it will be same 3.54. Here you will start your calculations. Statement has been completed. We are putting it on calculator, and 3.54 as sum of fx. Alright guys, calculations completed. Last step is to take square root q.13 of previous answer. So we have got our fourth standard deviation, that is 2.27. Let's check it out. Fourth standard deviation is 2.27, and we have calculated our fourth standard deviation as 2.27. So in this way, thankfully, our next part has been completed. Standard deviations are calculated. And let me show you what work we have done. Let's zoom it off so that you can view it. These were 4 standard deviations, and above that there were 4 means or averages we have calculated, and you can use same platform to calculate standard deviation as well. So I was thinking that it would be mixed, that is why we have separately calculated the standard deviations. Over here you should stop and start your reviewing how we have calculated these averages and how we have calculated these standard deviations for 4 parts. How these are 4 parts? For 0% debt, first standard deviation was calculated for 0% debt, and then you have calculated for 20% debt, standard deviation for 20% debt, and then you have calculated standard deviation for 40% debt, and finally the standard deviation was calculated for 60% debt. I have zoomed it off so that you can know that how this working we have completed. This was your first pass where you have calculated average, and this is your second part where you have calculated your standard deviation. After its completion, we are now going to make a further step to calculate coefficient of variation. Coefficient of variation, again we need to calculate coefficient of variation for all 4 parts. So here we are going to calculate. Someone of you can comment what is formula for coefficient of variation. Coefficient of variation for 0% debt. This is your first part. Again, 4 different CVs coefficient of variation would be calculated. Let's zoom it on. So first CV we are going to calculate, for which what we need standard deviation, first part, and that would be divided by average EPS, and this standard deviation is also for EPS. In this way you will complete your coefficient of variation. Look over here, this was your standard deviation, and over here this was your average EPS, standard deviation of EPS. Both would be divided to calculate coefficient of variation. So let's put it down. Your EPS, your standard deviation was 0.910. I was actually, it would be difficult to write over here. So instead of that, why not we should mention your standard deviation was 9.91 and your average EPS was, again we'll have to see it from our question, and that was calculated here 1.92. So both elements are mentioned, and now you can put in formula standard deviation 0.91073, and it would be divided by average EPS. We have calculated 1.92. Statement is completed. Now you can put it on your calculator. 0.91073 divided by 1.92. So we have got our CV 0.4743. This first CV has been calculated. Let's mark it. Now there is a little ease for you. For us, we will just pick these headings to calculate second CV or coefficient of variation, where it was 20% debt. So now we are going to mention standard deviation was calculated over here 1.13, and its EPS was calculated above. This is your average EPS. We are now open to put it on our statement. 84199 divided by 2.25. Statement has been completed. 1.1384199 divided by 2.25. Let me check it. 1.13842. Okay, it can be written in this way. So we have got our second CV 5.5059. It may be 0.5056. We haven't checked the answers. Let's see. First CV is 0.47. So here your CV. First CV 0.47. Second is 5060. So second is 5060. It is same. Answer has been rounded off. So two answers are completed. In this way we will calculate third CV over here. For that we need standard deviation, and this is standard deviation for the third part. Third part is for 40% debt. For 40% debt we have mentioned our standard deviation, and above of it we have calculated arithmetic mean, that is 3.54. Average EPS, so here we are going to calculate 1.5 17893 was your standard deviation. 3.54 was arithmetic mean. Here we will calculate 1.517893 divided by 3.54, your arithmetic mean. So you have calculated your third CV, and we'll have to check standard deviation was 1.51, arithmetic mean. Oh, this fourth arithmetic mean has been taken while we were needed to take third. It was 2.72. Let it be corrected. Your average EPS, this was fourth part. Actually, we were solving third part, 2.72. Let's correct our statement as well. 2.72, and this statement is also needed to be corrected, 2.72. So we have got our third CV has been calculated and it is 0.55. Okay, you will not see solution of this question like in this way in any other medium. I'm requesting you to please be attentive because it's 100% comprehensive solution where everything has been calculated in front of you. This is your third CV. Let's check our answer for third CV. Coefficient of variation third 0.55, and what we have calculated third CV 0.55. So thankfully 3 CVs are completed, and we are now going to calculate fourth CV. Obviously now that would be changed from 40 to 60%, and it is your fourth CV where you will mention your standard deviation. This is fourth standard deviation 2.27, and now this is fourth. Okay, and we will now be putting fourth average. This is your fourth average and had been calculated as 3.54. So in this way we are going to put 2.27684 as standard deviation, 3.54 as arithmetic mean. Let's put it on calculator after completing statement 3.54. So you have got your CV. Standard deviation was meant to be divided by arithmetic mean. 0.64 is your fourth CV, and let it be checked. Your final fourth CV is 0.64. Go back to the question, and this is your final CV 0.64. So look at that, how many answers we have calculated: 1, 2, 3, 6, 9, 12, 16 and 20. 20 answers are being calculated, and yet 4 answers are still pending. But I am enjoying, at least I am enjoying, because it's so good to do such lengthy works. It shows your temperament, it shows your calmness, coolness. So I am expecting the same from my beloved students and learners, to do your work in the same way. Coefficient of variation has been calculated. At this stage we need to arrange everything what we have already calculated. This would take a little time, but you will come to know how we had made everything possible. First we will put the debt equity ratio, and why not we should wrap all headings so we can arrange our answers perfectly. Why we are arranging? Because last part is totally dependent upon these ratios or these answers. So it is better to arrange them instead of making them dispersed. There was 0% debt equity ratio. Then we have 20% debt equity ratio, 40% and 60% debt equity ratio was developed. After which you have calculated your average EPS. Average EPS was calculated. This was your step. Look over here. Average EPS were calculated and we are now going to put over here. For 0% average EPS, this is first average and that was calculated as 1.92. Then for 20%, look here, 20% average EPS was started and calculated as 2.25. Then for 40%, look, this was your third EPS, 40% debt and average was calculated 2.72. And for fourth, this was your fourth EPS and amount which you have calculated, answer was 3.54. So what we have done, we have mentioned debt equity ratio, we have mentioned how much EPS was calculated, and now we will see how much standard deviation was calculated. Formula, okay, let it be written, it's useful for you as well. Standard deviation when debt equity was 0. This is your standard deviation for 0% and answer which you have calculated. Oh, we have calculated standard deviation 0.91. Put it over here. Then you need to put standard deviation for 20%. Look here. Standard deviation for 20% is calculated and the answer was 1.13. That has been put over here. Then third standard deviation was calculated over here. This is your third standard deviation and answer you have calculated is 1.51. That is posted over here. Standard deviation for the fourth part. So here come to this. Standard deviation for fourth part was calculated over here and the answer was 2.27. So our three columns has been completed, after which coefficient of variation, that was CV, calculated for each part. Let's see, for this is your coefficient of variation for 0% debt and answer which you have calculated is 0.47. And next CV, here you can see second CV was calculated for 20% debt, amount was 0.5. Third CV over here, look over here, third CV answer was 0.55 and fourth CV is here for 60% debt you have calculated, answer was 0.64. So in this way all CVs have been calculated. Why we have written it? We need to put market price per share, and how would you calculate? You need your EPS, earning per share. sale price, and it would be divided by required rate of return. And from where this required rate of return would come? For that return, we will go to the question, and their required rate of return is already mentioned. Simply we will go and pick the rates according to these statements. Let's get back to the question. Over here you can see that for each CV required rate return is mentioned. So we will pick according to our CVs. So first CV which we have seen is written over here 0.47. Let's see for 0.47 how much rate is present. This is 0.47 and rate present is 16%. So simply you will write 16% over here, required rate of return, and then your next CV is 0.51. 5059 means 0.51 can be taken. So get back, and 51 is present over here, rate is 17%. So put 17% for next CV. Please note it down. This is CV which we have calculated and its required rate of return is mentioned in your question. Next 56, 58 can be considered as 56. So next CV is 0.56. This is your 0.56 and required rate is 0.18. So 18 or 18% is your rate. Next CV is 0.64. Go back. This is your 0.64. In front of it 24% rate is mentioned. So write down 24%. Our problem has been sorted out. We need to divide EPS. EPS is present over here 1.92 and rate of return we have mentioned. Now we can calculate it. So first we will write the statement and then we will put it on our calculator. EPS 1.92 and then you need to divide it with 16%. So hopefully you have understood. Now let's put it on our calculator. 1.92 and it would be divided by 16%, means 16 divided by 100, that means 0.16. Please note it down. 16% means 16 divided by 100 and that means 0.16. So we have got our first answer. This is market price per share. Price of one share should be 12. Okay, come over here. We need to put EPS 2.25 and then you need to divide it with rate 17%. Statement is completed. Now you can put it on your calculator. 17% means 17 divided by 100, that means 0.17. So second answer is 13.23 or 24. Okay, next step is to put EPS 2.72. It would be divided by percentage 18%. Statement is completed. Now you can put it on your calculator. 2.72 divided by 18%. 18 divided by 100 means 0.18. So we have got our third price per share 15. Now fourth we need to put EPS, which is 3.54 divided by 24% given in question. Statement is completed. Now we can put it on calculator. 24% means 24 divided by 100, which means 0.24. So we have got our third answer 4.75. This was our requirement and we haven't checked the answer. That was not a good thing. So let's get back, and price per share is mentioned. First answer is 12. Price per share we are going to check 0.47. Your okay. Surprisingly, this statement has been copied over here. Same 0.47, 0.50, and 0.55. But your answers are in front of you. 12 first answer, then same we will put over here. 13.24 was your second answer, and third answer was 15.11. This I remember by my brain. Okay, and fourth answer was 14.75. Okay, now we are going to match it. So first answer here it was 12. Let's get back, and first answer is 12. I'm just letting you know it is just for you. For me they are matched. 13.24. Okay, second answer is 13.24. Third answer is 15.11. 15.11, and final answer is 14.75. So here your final answer is 14.75. So thankfully all answers are calculated and matched. How many answers? 3 into 4, 12, 4, 16, 4, 20, 24 answers were present in your question. And look at here what we have done. This is your first part where we have calculated EPS for different probabilities, zero point 0.2, zero point 0.6, and different debt equity ratio. EPS were calculated in 4 parts. Then we have started calculation of average EPS were started. 4 different average EPSs were calculated. Then we have started calculation of standard deviation. Then we have calculated coefficient of variation. All answers were put over here. And finally we have seen price per share 12. So in this way a short review was completed. Now let's see what else was saying. Expected EPS, and this was your expected EPS we have calculated. And then standard deviation answers were matched. Coefficient of variation answer was matched. And B part, optimal capital structure. For this, two categories are mentioned. Maximization of earning per share. EPS we will see first. This is your B part we are going to start. EPS, average EPS is mentioned over here. You can see this 60-40% debt has maximum EPS. Fourth option of 60% debt has maximum EPS, that is, this is your maximum EPS 3.54. So fourth part should be preferred because EPS is the highest. Look over here, average EPS 3.54 is highest for the fourth part where 60% was debt. This is first option. And now the second option which is asked is to see maximization of share value, price of share. Let's see where price of share is maximum. Price of share, market price per share is given over here 12, 13, 15 and 14. So this is your preferred market price because you can have the highest over here 15.1. So third option of 40% that has maximum market price per share, and that is 15.11. So third part should be preferred. So in this way, organization which are preferring EPS, for that 60% debt and 40% equity would be preferred. And those who wants to have better sale price, third option where 40% was debt and 60% was equity, 15.11 maximum. So these are two statements according to question. We have solved it B part, and after that we will see how you will solve your fourth part. We still have another part to be sorted out, where let's see what requirement is said. Oh, C part. These two parts were related to B. Construct a graph showing relationship in part B. This was your part B. You will probably to sketch lines because you have only 3 data points. So we need to put our EPS and debt ratio. Both would be drawn. For that, data is already present in front of you. What we need to have probabilities. Probabilities or debt equity ratio is mentioned over here, 0%, 20%, 40%. EPS and sale price. These were two has been taken over here. So what we will do, let's highlight them, that we need to calculate our, we need to put these upon our graph. Your strength of brain would be checked over here, how attentive you are and how much hunger of skill and education you need. This is your process of skill building. We need to make it a graph for which we are setting our axis. X-axis and Y-axis has been set. Why not we should make it over here. We need a little space. Okay, we have got the space. Over here we need to put probability on x-axis. Let's put probability. We have 0%, 20%, 40% and 60% probability. 0% would be present over here in graphs, and then we need to put 20% and 0 to 20. Then we have 40%, 60%. That's all, because there are 4 probabilities. This is our data, 0, 20, 40, 60, and as you know 0% would be over here. Next, both EPS and share price would be mentioned over here. So we will start putting maximum, minimum will be observed. EPS maximum is 3, minimum 1. but market price we need to put maximum 15. So if we will take two table, we need 8 lines. 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8 9. I think it would be enough. So let's start putting amounts over here. Align to the right side. First amount you need to put 2, then we have first amount 2. What is this behavior, Excel? You are not good. 2 4 6 2 4 6 8 10 12 14 16. How much maximum was needed? 15. Okay, we have completed our y-axis. So I'm sure you understood your earning per share and sale price would be presented on y-axis, probability would be mentioned on x-axis. This way you will complete your graph. So let's see what is next. At 0% your EPS is 1.92. For this we need to put some points. So let's use a circle for our points. Any circle can be taken over here. Now we will make it a smaller size, just the point. Okay, 0% is here and we need to put at 1.9. 1.9 would be present over here. So next point, let's see what we have put. 0%, 1.92. 0% is over here and 1.92 point has been discussed. Let's see what is next. For 20%, 2.25. This is your second point, 20%, and we need to see how much is point. For 20%, 2.25. 20% line is present over here and amount we need 2.25. It would be just above than 2. Alright, so now we will put for 40%. For 40% we need 2.72. So here is our point. It would be little up. Okay, I think exactly we are at 2.72. Then we need our fourth point. At 60% it is 3.54. 60% is here and 3.54 would be just below 4. So all 4 points have been mentioned. This was your EPS. EPS, why not to make it blue so that we can associate it with each other. So this would be coherent and it is not opening. Alright, so we will change it in this way. Let's make EPS as blue. So here match this. EPS is presented and now we will join these points. For this we need a straight line taken. First line would be taken from this part to this part. Okay, and second line from here to our next point, and again we do have our fourth point from this point to this point. So guys, we have completed our blue structure, which was for EPS. This is EPS probability. It has been completed. The graph is showing your relationship between EPS and probability. Next, as we have already selected, we need to put debt equity and market price. For 0% debt, you have 12 as your market price. So we need a point. Let's choose it. We will change its color to black. Okay. Black is already your share price. Let's come and see how much we needed. For 0%, you need 12. This is 0%, and here is 12 as your sale price. So first point has been calculated. Now we will see for 20% how much. For 20% sale price is 13. 13 would be in between 12 and 14. So this may be the point. Then we will put our next point for 40%. For 40%, your sale price is 15.1 and 15 would be in between 14 and 16, little more up over here. So in this way, our third point has already a little down because 15 would be in between 14 and 16. Second line, third line, fourth line. So this is your fourth point, where what do you need for 60%? Your price is 14.75. 14.75 would be little up from 14. So that's what we have got, 14.75. Something have to see again. For third point, 15 was needed, and this was your 15. 14 would be little down. Now it's time to match them, for which we need a line. Let's see if we can have. Okay, we have got a line. So let's match them. This line would be from here to here. Let's change its color. We need to put it black to match. Its color is required to be changed. Let's make it black. Okay, it has now black. This statement task window is not needed. Remove it. So let's make second joining. It will join from second point to third point. Join it again. So you have joined second and third point, and you need to make another point from here to fourth point is present over here. This is coming little down. So in this way, guys, your graph has been completed, where you have shown relationship between price per share and probability, and EPS relationship with probability has also been shown. Okay, these two relationships are completed. Let's see if anything else is present in our question. Construct a graph and it has been completed. So all three parts A, B, C are completed. Let's see this graph again, where on x-axis you have presented probability, on y-axis EPS and share price was presented. This black line is showing relationship between price and probability. Price was here, probability was first column, and you can see that after this stage your price has been dropped. So this is your optimal structure, and EPS is continuously increasing, so this is your optimal structure. Fourth, 60%, and in case of share price, this is your optimal structure. In this way our question has been completed, and you can now again see the length of this question. Three parts we have to use. Three different video lectures were made to complete this one single question. First part, income statement in front of you, where we have created EPS for first probability 0%. Then second part, you have again created three income statement for 20% debt, and you have calculated, look over here, 3 EPS you have calculated. Then third part, for 40% debt, you have calculated 3 EPS. And next, again for 60% debt, you have calculated 3 EPS. Then it was time to calculate your average EPS. 4 average EPS were calculated. After which we have started standard deviation, where 4 standard deviation, 1, 2, 3, 4 standard deviations were calculated. And then we have started CV, coefficient of variation. 4 CVs were calculated, 1, 2, 3, 4. After calculation of CV, we were supposed to calculate price per share, for which we needed EPS, that was calculated above. And the thing which you should understand, why we have calculated this EPS separately. I was telling you that same columns were used to calculate standard deviation as well, just first pro forma was changed. This EPS was calculated for this purpose. Market price was meant to be calculated by taking EPS, and it was needed to be divided by required rate of return. So this EPS was calculated separately. This is the reason. And then to calculate this market price, we were requiring required rate of return, and you were informed in question this required rate of return was mentioned, but for that we needed to calculate CVs. Coefficient of variation were calculated over here, and according to this CVs we have picked the rate, like 0.47 CV over here, 0.47, and rate was 16%. And what we have done, 0.47 CV and rate was 12% taken. Rate was taken from CVs. Here is your rate, 16%. So please match it. What we have done for 4.747 CV, which we have calculated, required rate was 16%. 0.47 CV, required rate 16%. In this way, for other CVs like this, 0.5 rate was given 17, 0.56 rate was given 0.8, 0.64 rate was given 24. So required rate return was taken from the book according to our CV, and this EPS was divided by this rate to calculate share price. After which we have presented EPS and price per share. These two columns were presented through graph. In this way our question was completed. So guys, 13.25 finally has got its end. It has been completed. Though every solution was solved in front of you on live lectures. No editing, no interruption, no changes were made. Absolutely live lecture was in front of you. All answers were matched. 24 answers were calculated. And this was your 24 answers structure present over here. All these 24 answers were calculated and matched in front of you. In this way, everything has been completed. But even then, you are very open to ask your queries, your question related to understanding of any part of the solution. You will be very welcomed to ask your queries. I will surely be available to answer your queries instantly. 13.25 is completed. Hopefully we will see each other again for the solution of any other question in future. Up till then, please take care of yourself, and I'm requesting you to please pray for me as well. Thank you very much for your time. It's time to say goodbye. Allah Hafiz.